Hi Liz, thanks for joining me.
Hi Claire, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited and I'm really looking forward to this chat.
Fantastic. Well, for anyone that maybe doesn't know, could you tell me a little bit about your story and really where your resilience comes from?
For sure. My story and actually the sense of resilience that I have are really so tied together that, to talk about one is really to talk about the other. I was born with my impairment called limb difference. And having grown up with a disability, I've had to, it might seem a bit of a cliche, but I've really had to develop a real sense of resilience towards every aspect of my life and really pull on that resilience every single day of my life. So for me, with my limb difference, and I think this is the same for a lot of disabled people, we have to become really amazing problem solvers and build this kind of real sense of trust in ourselves and our ability to crack on with things every single day and just have a go at things that might seem difficult or might seem impossible to us, and actually attempt these things and grab onto that sense of I can do this and I can figure out a solution. And so for me, definitely the resilience comes out and was developed through my actual story, which goes from being born with a disability through to my teenage years, where I made a very epic decision to swim at the Paralympic Games. It was when it was announced that Sydney, Australia had won the right to host the Paralympic Games. That was when I really leapt on this idea that this was something that I wanted to do, because I was born and raised in Sydney. And so I attended 2 Paralympic Games over my teenage years and early 20s, and walked away with 3 Paralympic medals. So 2 bronze and a silver. I like how I had to think about that then for a second. I was like, yeah, that's right. And for me, again, that sense of resilience really came to the forefront during my sporting career. And I think it really taught me how so many of us pull on resilience or develop resilience in so many different ways, because being in a Paralympic team, you're exposed to so many different types of people with different disabilities, and in different sports and with different lifestyles, and how they've kind of grown up with living with that disability that they have. So it's kind of really expanded my idea of what resilience is. And then of course it's led to my life now, which, is kind of been this meandering, surprising walk through so many different opportunities and ups and downs and events and actions and thoughts and feelings and all these things, but really so underpinned by this deep core sense of I can get through anything, because I know I can, through the very fact that I have limb difference and I've had to. So
Yeah, absolutely. And so in particular then with this year, obviously it's been difficult for most people. What I'd love to hear is what positive outcomes has this year given you?
oh my gosh, I mean, touching on resilience again, I think we've all had to show a lot of resilience this year. And, I'll admit that as a speaker, it was a bit scary at the start of the year. So much of my work has been for the past 10 years, going into schools and organizations and talking to people and telling them my story, or running workshops around character education or disability. And I think for me this year, my resilience really shone through, and how I've kind of managed with COVID and the pandemic, and the positives that have come out to it is really that ability to kind of flip things around in a way almost. So what I found is that actually, I think in light of a focus very much being put on health and impairment, through the very fact that we do have this pandemic happening, there's been a lot more interest around disability and access and inclusion. And I've really found this year, in flipping my focus to really hone in on disability and access and inclusion, that actually I've had a really good year work-wise, which has been absolutely phenomenal and amazing. And out of that kind of flipping of that focus, I've had so many amazing opportunities pop up, which I never would have expected at the beginning of the year, including becoming editor for Disability Review magazine, as well as a few weeks ago actually being asked by Twitter to come on board and do a fireside chat with their employees. So, you know, I can certainly see a lot of positives, you know, and my heart goes out to those that maybe have had more of a struggle, and I really feel for everyone. But you know, in terms of thinking about gratitude and being grateful for the way that work has turned out for me, I am genuinely just so thankful for all of the support that I've received from people, and hopefully I'm passing that on to others. I'm certainly trying my hardest to pass this kind of positivity on.
Yeah, fantastic. And it's so lovely to hear the positives to come out of this year, and hopefully to continue. And so keeping with the positivity then, what do you have a particular life philosophy that you use?
Yeah, I think I always have a laugh, because when I was little, I bring this up quite often in my talks, especially when there are talks about resilience. And I talk about how when I was a child, you know, I'd have my parents or my siblings or aunts or uncles and cousins and that try to do things for me. And my catch cry from literally the moment I could talk was, leave me alone, I can do it myself. And I think I'm a very independent person. I'm a very stubborn person. And I like to believe that I have this inner potential that I can achieve. And this potential for me is boundless. And I believe that this is the same for every single person. So my philosophy is about just literally throwing yourself at life, at every single opportunity that comes your way, and just giving something a go. I always believe that, you know, you're either going to succeed at something or you're going to fail at something. But the point is you can learn from both of those experiences. So a failure isn't something awful or anything to get upset about, but it's something that you can learn and grow from. And a success doesn't mean it's the end of that journey, but it's something that you can build upon. So I certainly kind of live from that philosophy of being independent and having a go at things, and just trusting that it's going to work out.
Great philosophy. Great philosophy. And so just finally then, if you only had one piece of advice to give, what would it be?
I think definitely coming off the back of that philosophy that I have is about trusting yourself. A lot of the time, you know, we can experience imposter syndrome, and I'm certainly no stranger to experiencing that, and thinking that I'm not good enough, or I'm not enough in general for whatever that opportunity is, or that individual, or that circumstance. For me, I think the biggest example of this is actually the editor role for Disability Review magazine. I'd never had a professional editing role before in my life. So for them to ask me was a wonderful surprise, but I could have easily have turned it down and not trusted in my own abilities and skills that I've developed over the years. But I decided to trust myself in that and say yes to an opportunity that was potentially really scary, and it's really paid off. So that is my piece of advice to everyone. Just trust yourself, trust your abilities, your skills, your knowledge, your heart. And you know what? If it's meant to work out, it will work out.